4th November 2025, and let us start Paripurna daily current affairs discussion through Mindmaps. The first important article with respect to the mains is heavy metals found in the Cauvery fish. Study advises reducing consumption. The topic is related to the environmental pollution because of the heavy metals, right? This topic you can link with the GS3 environment. Okay, from the mains GS3 environment, this topic is important. Recent study actually is highlighting that there are heavy metals which is polluting the river Cauvery. As we know, this kind of pollution not only impact the environment but also impact the human, but also impact the other biotic and abiotic components. So let us discuss comprehensively from mains point of view this particular topic, that is the heavy metal pollution in the river. So let's create the mind maps, that is heavy metal pollution in water bodies. And this is the topic. Okay. Now, what things we have to discuss is that first is what are the causes behind such kind of pollution. That means what are the sources and the causes, or you can say the sources of heavy metal pollution in rivers, especially this Cauvery river, but this topic will be useful for any kind of river, any river. If they are asked, I don't think they will specifically ask about the Cauvery river. In general, they can ask like in the river how the heavy metal pollution take place and what remedies and you can propose. However, this particular incident, this report can be used as case study or example to substantiate our point in the mains, right? So that way it is useful. Now, in the causes and the sources of heavy metal pollution can be divided into two parts, two types we can discuss. One is the anthropogenic causes, another is the natural causes and anthropogenic causes. Okay. Now, what are the anthropogenic causes? There are multiple anthropogenic causes. One is the agriculture, and within agriculture there is pesticide which are used around the basin, river basin. Suppose this is the river Cauvery, and within the river Cauvery there are multiple rice and the other crop fields in the basin of river Cauvery. So what happens during the rainfall, the drainage from these areas will come to the river Cauvery, and along with this the heavy metals which was deposited by the application of fertilizer will be dumped into this river, and that way it will cause what? River pollution. Okay, so if we want to label this diagram, this is the river, these are the agriculture field, these are the heavy metal, and these are the drainage. Okay, so this way the small diagram also we have made here. Okay, understood? Now, first is the agriculture. What is the second point? The second is industrial effluent. That is the discharge from the industries like metal industry, leather industry, textile industry. They also use several chemicals which contains heavy metals, and such heavy metals can pollute the river water. Third is urban wastewater, urban wastewater which contains like plastic, which also contains some other cosmetic waste. Such material can also enter into the river, and that will also cause the heavy metal pollution. This kind of pollution contains like the cadmium, mercury, lead. These kind of heavy metal can be used, can cause the pollution. In natural sources, there can also be the natural sources. For example, the mineral zones, like you must have heard in the coal mining area, what happens in such area, the minerals, the heavy metals which was the part of deposition in the mining area can also fall into the river and cause the pollution. So that way we have seen the comprehensively what are the sources and the causes of heavy metal pollution in the river, that is anthropogenic causes as well as the natural causes. Now next question is, what can be the impacts of such kind of pollution? That is the second point. So next come impact. Okay, so impact of such kind of pollution can be multifaceted here also. One impact is on human impact. See, in human there is one problem called as the biomagnification. What is biomagnification? Biomagnification is nothing but, suppose there is heavy metal, this is heavy metal, this heavy metal has been consumed by fish, then this fish has been consumed by, let's say, large fish, small fish, large fish, this large fish being consumed by the human. So what happens is that this is what heavy metal. Okay, what happens is that at every stage the concentration of the heavy metal starts increasing. So here increasing heavy metal concentration. Okay, this is called as what? Biomagnification. This is called as the biomagnification. Rising concentration of pollutant from one tropic level to another. See, this is the tropic level 1, this is tropic level 2, this is tropic level 3. If in the subsequent tropic level the concentration of the pollutant keep on increasing, that is called as the biomagnification. Similarly, this will be having impact on the environment also, as it will disturb the ecological balance. It will disturb the ecological balance because of the heavy metal, right? So this kind of heavy metal will pollute not to water bodies, and that will cause the serious impact to the human as well as the environment. Now let's move to the next part. Next part will be what solution we can propose, what can be the remedy for it. So next is remedies. Okay, see, remedy will be the multidimensional. Here also multidimensional remedy is required. We can divide the remedies into different parts. One is we need the regulatory measures. Regulatory measures means we have to use the the laws which are there to prevent such kind of impact. For example, Environment Protection Act 1986 is there, Water Act 1974 is there. These things has to be enforced properly. The second important thing is that technological measures like zero discharge technologies. For example, Tripuri textile mills, they have the zero discharge technology in which all the wastewaters are recycled in order, or the filtered in order to prevent the pollution to the nearby area. So such kind of technological interventions are also required. Then comes the use of awareness among the people. Ensure that this kind of what we can say is that pollution or the discharge are not happening to especially the farmers as well as the common people. Okay, so that way the remedies, the causes, the impact, the remedies has been used. Here for the introduction, the context can be used here as introduction. What is the context? The report in Cauvery river. A report of heavy metal pollution in Cauvery river. Okay, so that can be used as the introduction. So this prepared your note for this particular topic, that is the heavy metal pollution. If any question is asked, now you have the ready-made answer for your revision, the causes, what you have. See this, the causes you have. If for the introduction, you can introduce by the recent report in the Cauvery river pollution. Then you can divide with anthropogenic and the natural causes. You can draw a small diagram also here. Then you can write about the impact, human and as well as the environmental impact. You can explain about the biomagnification through this flow diagram. You can give the remedies like the regulatory, technological as well as the awareness. That way this particular topic has been covered comprehensively. Next, Emerging Science and Technology Innovation Conclave 2025 and Biofortification. The topic is not very important, that is the Emerging Science, Technology and Innovation Conclave, but the concept of biofortification which was discussed under this conference, under this conclave, is very important for our exam point of view. So what is the context? What is the context? Context is that Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi have inaugurated the first Emerging Science and Technology Innovation Conclave at the Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi. So this is the context behind it. Earlier it used to be this conclave used to be called as Indian Science Congress. Okay, so what it is basically, in this conclave, Honorable Prime Minister have talked about the food security, to move from food security to the nutrition security. And within this there is a concept called as the biofortification has been discussed. Biofortification. Before going into it, like what is the meaning of biofortification, let's understand the fortification. What is the meaning of fortification? See, the meaning of fortification is, it is the artificial addition of the nutrient to a food grain or the food product. Artificial inclusion or increase of nutrient. For example, you must have heard iodine added salt. That is, iodine has been added to salt. So this salt will be called as the fortified salt with the iodine. Similarly, we are doing the iron folic acid or the iron fortified rice, which is being given under the PDS. So these are the example of fortification where we are adding the excess nutrient or additional nutrient in order to ensure the food and the nutritional security, right? But here the concept comes is that biofortification. What is biofortification? The biofortification is simple. It is nothing but when the nutrient content of a crop or for food increase through the plant breeding method. Here what we are doing, the crop, or let's say this is rice, has already been produced. Here we are adding the nutrient and we are mixing them and again creating a rice kernel or the rice product. Then we are calling it as the fortified rice. But here what we are doing is that we are creating the seeds which have the higher nutrient value, nutrient availability. So it is the production of seeds or development of seeds with higher nutrient content, using plant breeding. Now what is plant breeding? plant breeding is the method through which we improve the characteristics of the plants in terms of nutrient, in terms of disease resistance, in terms of the height, other thing. You must have heard the example of the BT cotton. What is BT cotton? BT cotton is a kind of seed being produced using the biotechnology, that is the genetics. So genetic modification has been made in the BT cotton so that this BT cotton can be used to solve the problem of insect and diseases. For example, here what we can do, so what we will do is that, let's say this is one crop, this is a rice crop. Sorry, this is not a good diagram. Let me make another diagram. See, rice crops generally look like this. Okay, generally it will look like this. Here you have the kernel. Okay, like this. So suppose this is one rice crop which is having certain let's say iron content or vitamin A content, certain iron content. I want to increase this iron content. How I will do? Let's say there is another crop which is in the forest area, which is in the other country. So what we will do is that we will bring this crop here and we will cross them. We will do the hybridization, and through this parent 1, parent 2 will be crossed, and its child, that is its progeny, will be generated. This progeny will transfer the characteristics of the nutrient, higher vitamin A content, to this parent. Now this parent will be having more content, or this progeny will be having the more iron content, this vitamin A content. So this process, this will be then multiplied. This process is called as the biofortification. Understood? What is the purpose behind this? What are the purpose behind this? The benefit out of it? See, the benefits of biofortification. See, this has been considered as the better procedure than just a normal fortification, because here more natural process, it is more natural process. It have the more improved content, as well as the higher adaptability and acceptability is there. Increased acceptance is there. So it can help in increasing the nutrient security. Okay, and then in the conclusion we can use a quote by Prime Minister. In the conclusion, what we can write is that India needs to move from the food security to nutrition security. This should be our vision as per Honorable Prime Minister. This can be used in any question with respect to the food security or the nutrition security. Let's move to the next article, that is related to the double taxation avoidance agreement. What is the context? The context is that India and Bahrain have agreed to develop a common understanding to commence actually the double taxation avoidance agreement. What is this concept? We'll discuss it. Double taxation avoidance agreement. Suppose you are a person who is the concept. Let's discuss the concept. Concept is that suppose there is one person A, the person A, who wants to have the in India. Where? In India. This person has invested in the another country. Let's say the Singapore. Now this A is having the company in B, that is in Singapore. So this company, which is company B, will pay tax to Singapore. However, this company B will bring the profit to company to country A, because his family is in country A, that is in India. So this company B is paying tax in Singapore for the profit generated through the company, also paying tax in India also. Isn't it a double taxation? They have to pay tax in A as well as B. To avoid such kind of double payment of taxation, this company, India and Singapore, will have a mutual agreement, which will be called as the double taxation avoidance agreement. That means if a country the company have paid tax in the Singapore, that company doesn't have to pay tax in India. so they can avoid the double taxation. What is the benefit out of it? The benefit is that now it will encourage the ease of doing business, and thus it can increase the investment. Increase what? Investment. Okay, so this is the concept, that is the double taxation avoidance agreement. So India is thinking to have the agreement with the Bahrain. Is it like the India is has no double taxation avoidance agreement? No, the India have the mini double taxation avoidance agreement. Which country? Like the which country? We don't have to remember each and every country, but we need to remember is that more than 80 countries, that is to be precise 85 countries, with 85 countries India is having the double taxation avoidance agreement, including UK, US, etc. In this there is one loophole, there is a weakness also, or what we can say is that disadvantage is also there. Disadvantage. What is disadvantage? The disadvantage is commonly called as the round tripping or treaty shopping. Suppose how you can understand this treaty shopping. Let's understand this treaty shopping. Very important. See, suppose India is there. Okay, India is having agreement with the Singapore. Okay, both countries have the agreement, that is the double taxation avoidance agreement with each other. Singapore. Now let's say there is third country, let's say Bahrain only. Bahrain. Currently India is not having the double taxation avoidance agreement with Bahrain. Okay, that means the company who is working in the Bahrain have to pay tax in Bahrain also as well as in India. So what this Bahrain will do, the company in the Bahrain will do, they will show their company in Singapore. So that they can avoid giving tax in India. This is called as a treaty shopping. Basically, Bahrain doesn't have the direct double taxation avoidance agreement with India. So they will transfer their business, into Singapore. Actually, they won't transfer to Singapore, but they will show their income is being generated in Singapore by opening a kind of a dummy company there. Just in the paper it is available, but not actual production is happening there. So this way, since India and Singapore is having the double taxation avoidance agreement, the company which is actually working in the Bahrain don't have to pay again tax in India. So it is a loss for India then. So this concept is called as the treaty shopping. So these are the concepts we have covered in this particular topic, that is the double taxation avoidance agreement. Let's move to the next article, that is High Sea Treaty. High Sea Treaty is highly in the news because more than 60 countries have now ratified this. Hence, now this agreement will come into force from January 2026. So minimum number of countries have already ratified it. Hence, it will now be enforced for those who have ratified and signed it. Now, what is this High Sea Treaty? And let's understand the concepts related to this High Sea Treaty. Before this, let's understand the background. See, the thing is that the background is, see, what is happening is that we have the before that also. So before understanding the background also, let's understand this maritime zones. It will help us to understand what is the meaning of high sea. See, this is the ocean. This is the ocean or the sea region. This whole region, right? And you should know this part is called as the continental shelf, and this is called as the continental margin. This is continental shelf. Now this continental shelf and this whole sea around a particular country can be divided into the different areas. So basically this is India, let's say. This is India, and around this this is the sea, right? So this sea has been divided into the different zones basically, and that division you are seeing here. Okay, so how this is called as the baseline. This is what? Baseline. This is baseline, and 12 nautical miles from the baseline is called as the territorial sea. If you add another 12 nautical miles then it is called as the contiguous zone. The 200 nautical miles will be called as the exclusive economic zone, and beyond this 200 nautical mile is called as the high sea. Now there is already an agreement which is called as the United Nations Convention on Law on Sea. United Nations Convention Law on Sea. That is, this convention actually regulate the sustainable use of sea within exclusive economic zone. It includes the conservation of biodiversity. However, this agreement was lacking one thing: the biodiversity conservation in the high sea. Since this high sea does not come under direct jurisdiction of any particular country, this high sea actually is considered as a common good, basically property, common asset of everyone. It's the for the whole world. One country does not have the right over it. So now the question is, who will then protect the biodiversity in the high sea region? And that way this came into the picture. What came into the picture? This high sea treaty. Basically, this high sea treaty will protect the biodiversity beyond the national jurisdiction, that is in the high sea. Understood? Now let's understand more detail about this particular agreement. This agreement talks about four major pillars. There are four major pillars, key pillars of this agreement. Key pillars of this agreement. First pillar, let's discuss one by one. Key pillars. Pillar number 1. The first pillar is about maritime genetic resources. Maritime genetic resources. The second pillar, that is the genetic resources which are present in the high sea. Second is the area-based management tool. Area-based management tool, that is to conserve a particular area. Third is environment impact assessment, and fourth is capacity building and technology transfer. These are the four pillars of high sea treaty. Okay. Now the problem here, the limitation of this treaty, the major limitation of this treaty is that the major countries like China, US, Russia have not yet ratified. So its inclusive and the broader implication will be limited. The second issue is that there is the overlap of power between the International Seabed Authority and the Regional Fish Management Organization. This is another issue. There is lack of clarity between the power distribution. So this article was related to the High Sea Treaty. Let's move to the next article, that is International Day of Biosphere Reserve. This topic is important from the environment point of view, that is GS3. The November 3, the context is that November 3 is celebrated as the International Day of Biosphere Reserve. Now this topic become important for us to understand about the Biosphere Reserve. Okay, let's understand comprehensively. Biosphere Reserve. Biosphere Reserve. What it is and what it is significance. Okay, let's understand. First of all, what is Biosphere Reserve? See, any particular region which is having a high biodiversity in terms of the forest cover, in terms of the vegetation, in terms of animals, wildlife, these things may get depleted if they are not protected due to the expansion of the development and the human activities. So in order to protect them, in order to protect the environment, so the environment has to be protected from the human activity. So to protect that, this environment has to be protected legally. So for that we have the protected area networks. However, this kind of protection, what happens is that the rights of the community, especially the indigenous community who live not separately from the environment but in collaboration, in the coherence, with the symbiotic relation with the environment, they actually contribute in the preservation and the conservation of the environment. So if we take the human completely away from the environment, we consider environment and the human separately, this approach won't be sustainable. Also, we won't be able to learn from the environment. So what the concept came is that there should be the environment and there should be the human, and both should collaborate. This is environment, this is human. Both should have the interrelationship. And this region has been defined as the Biosphere Reserve. This is the concept. Understood? So this Biosphere Reserve are having the different zones, so that which have the different level of protection. The core zone will devoid any kind of human intervention, but the other zone will allow the human presence so that both can interact, learn from each other and contribute in the growth of each other. And that is the idea of Biosphere Reserve. Now the question is, who identifies? It is identified by the UNESCO. See, a country can identify as a Biosphere Reserve. UNESCO recognizes the Biosphere Reserve under the Man and Biosphere program, which is called as the MAB program, Man and Biosphere program. Okay. In India there are 18 Biosphere Reserve, including, let's revise quickly, Cold Desert, Kanchenjunga, Manas, Dibru-Saikhowa, Dehang Debang, Nokrek in Meghalaya, Sundarban in West Bengal, Simplipal Odisha, Sesachalam Andhra Pradesh, Gulf of Mannar Tamil Nadu, Great Nicobar Andaman and Nicobar Dweep, Agastha Malaya in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, Nilgiri in Karnataka, Achanakmar in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, Pachmadi in Madhya Pradesh, Kutch in Gujarat, and Nanda Devi in Uttarakhand. These are the 18 Biosphere Reserve. Out of these 18 Biosphere Reserve, not all has been recognized by the UNESCO. Which biosphere has not been recognized by the UNESCO? Cold Desert has not been recognized. Second, Manas and Dibru-Saikhowa not recognized. Dehang Deba not recognized. Then Sesachalam not recognized. And lastly, the Kutch not recognized. These 5 Biosphere Reserve has not been recognized by the UNESCO. Rest has been recognized. So under the Biosphere program, 13 out of 18 recognized by UNESCO. Okay, so this is the idea. This is the program. Now let's understand more about the Biosphere Reserve. Another concept is the zones in the Biosphere Reserve. Zones. There are 3 zones basically. This is the first zone. Let's create another, and this is the lastly. This is the interior. This is called as the core zone. This is what? Core zone. Core zone. Core zone is the highly protected zone. Second is called as the buffer zone. Buffer zone. And lastly, the transition zone. The transition zone. Core zone is legally protected. This core zone is legally protected. Legally protected. The second is that this is used for the this is protected but can be used for research, education, and this is used for sustainable development. Basically the economic activities and the socio-economic activities are allowed. So activities are allowed. Okay. So that way Biosphere Reserve we have covered. Next article is earthquake in Afghanistan. This is our last article. Recently there is a 6.3 magnitude earthquake have been observed in the northern Afghanistan. Around 20 people have been killed and more than 500 injured. This is the news, and this is not new for Afghanistan. There was a deadliest earthquake also, which led to, in August, which killed more than 2,200 people. That was one of the deadliest earthquake in the Afghanistan history. Now the question is, why there are so many of this earthquake is coming into the Afghanistan? What is the reason? Before that, we need to understand about the earthquake, and then we will go to the why in Afghanistan. So earthquake is the topic. Earthquake is the topic. See, earthquake actually, what is earthquake basically? Earthquake, when the two plates we are having and both are converging towards each other, or both are moving around each other at this region, that is, which is called as the fault. At this fault, there will be some friction, and this friction will generate in the form of waves, which reaches till the, if this is the epicenter, these waves will reach to the surface and it will move in the all direction. This creates the earthquake. So this is the movement of the plates which causes release of the earthquake waves, and which causes the earthquake, right? So that is the earthquake. Now here, why it is in Afghanistan, that is important. See, Afghanistan location is important. The Afghanistan location is such that which is the point where the different plates converge. For example, Indian plate here you see is moving towards the Eurasian plate, and in the boundary, at the fault line in this, both Indian plate and the Eurasian plate collide. The third plate here is the Arabian plate, which is a minor plate. This is also present in this interjunction. And these three plates, when they move around each other, they generate the earthquake waves, and that causes the earthquake in Afghanistan. And that's why we see a lot of earthquakes are coming into the Afghanistan, right? So this is nothing but the movement of the plate which is causing the earthquake in the Afghanistan. Thank you so much for today's article, today's discussion. If you like the video, please like it, share with your friends, and if you're the PDF of this particular discussion along with the mind maps you will get in the Telegram channel, which link which has been given in the description box. Thank you so much.